mouth, if you have no resistance, magic is happening everywhere around you. It's like you barely speak that you want something and the universe says, here it is, and you say, thank you very much, now I'd like that. That really is the way it can be for you. But if you've been down on yourself or down on somebody else, or not believing in your ability to create, or believing that you're not worthy of creation, or focused upon the lack of things, if you've been, like most people are, focusing upon the manifestations of the world rather than upon the vibrational reality that is in the process of becoming, then you probably have plenty of resistance that your inner being is calling you through, which means you are probably having sort of a bumpy ride along your way to everything you want. Some of you won't get there till you croak, because you have thoughts that you keep thinking. That's what beliefs are. A belief is just a thought that you continue to think. So as you have thoughts of doubt, and you keep putting those doubt engines on the opposite end of your train, and then life keeps causing you to want something more, and so you put another engine on the other end of your train. As you move through life, you've got competing engines of bigger and bigger and bigger proportion, and then you feel tense because you're asking and not letting yourself go, and asking and not letting yourself go. And here's the thing that is most interesting to us, and the thing that we most want you to hear from us. Your inner being will never stop calling you this way. Now, if your inner being would stop calling you this way, you'd feel better, since you got opposing engines going the other way, because then at least there wouldn't be tension. You'd just go in the opposing direction of what you really mean, but it wouldn't be tense. But your inner being will never stop calling you. Your inner being will never stop keeping its promise to you, that since your leading edge physical human experience has caused you, and in fact the entire universe, to expand, your inner being will never stop calling you forward into that expansion. And so that brings us to step 3. Step 1 is you ask. Step 2 is source answers and continues to call you and answer you. Step 3 is you got to find some way to stop putting engines on the other end of that train. You got to find some way to get into the receiving mode, or the allowing mode, so that you allow yourself to be the receiver of what you're asking for. So we know we're talking about vibration. That's just annoying in the beginning, isn't it? And we're talking about asking you to have faith in things you can't see, things that you can feel that you can't see. But when you do, when you begin to accept that law of attraction is real, and that your guidance system is real also, when you accept that and you start really taking note of how you feel, and you make some attempt at thinking more and more thoughts that feel better and better to you, so you are offering less and less resistance, then you begin to get movement. And when you begin to get movement, so that those thoughts that you have set into motion are allowed by you to turn into things, to turn into ideas, into rendezvous, into experiences, and into manifestations. When you witness your thoughts, your deliberate thoughts turning to things, then you get it. Then you accept not only the laws of the universe as they are, in their pure and equal opportunity state, but you also begin to trust in your own ability to create your own reality. And that's when something wonderful starts happening to you. You begin to feel your blessed worthiness. You begin to expect good things to come to you. It's nice, and we know you often appreciate witnessing good things coming to others. There's nothing more thrilling than to love someone and watch them thrive. But sometimes when someone else is thriving and you are not, then you make up things that are not true about why. You try to explain that they're thriving because they have better advantages. They're thriving because they were born into it, or they were thriving because they had this education or this advantage, or. And every time you do that, you're really talking about your disadvantage. And when you keep active in your vibration, your own disadvantage, when you are rationalizing or justifying or defending yourself, you're stacking up those engines of resistance, and you are limiting your own ability to move. But here's the thing. You've already asked, and it's already been given, and you're already being called. And so every time you do that, the tension is greater within you, which causes you to feel greater anger or greater depression or greater feeling that you are being left out in some way. And we want you to know You are never being left out. As you look across the board in the world in which you live, on subject after subject as it relates to you or maybe to others, you might notice that things are not even. Different people are living different experiences, and certainly it isn't even, but it is always fair, because it is always law of attraction responding to the vibrational output of whatever's going on. So rather than arguing in a limiting way that it's just not fair that you're not getting something and somebody else is, stop if you can looking at the manifestation and begin to evaluate just for a little while what you're doing vibrationally. Because what you will begin to notice is that those that are thriving on whatever subject of desire it is that you are witnessing are thriving because their mood or their attitude or their opinion about it is something that is working for them. You cannot work against yourself, even by noticing what is, if what is isn't what you want to be, without limiting yourself. And that slowdown doesn't feel good to you. Doesn't feel good to you because of the energy drain of contradicted energy. It doesn't feel good because of the lack of clarity that you are providing for yourself, the clarity that you are not allowing yourself to experience. And then it ultimately doesn't feel good because as it unfolds, it's just more bad news to you. And then it really doesn't feel good when something manifests that you clearly do not want. And we are just saying, you have more control of your experience than maybe you have realized. And that's why we like to visit with you. We know that if you are like many people, you are stuck in the awareness of what is. And it makes everything we're saying here not only feel irrelevant to you, it makes you feel irritated by it. Because there's nothing that feels worse than to have desires that aren't coming about and have some smart aleck non-physical being who doesn't even have rent to pay or food to gather say to you, you just need to clean up your vibration. But friends, you just need to clean up your vibration. There's no getting around it because no one else can vibrate for you. No one else can accomplish your point of attraction. It's only you. Now we acknowledge that what you're witnessing influences your point of attraction, and that's really what we're wanting to help you to get around. You've got to stop being such a witness of something you don't want, because you can't let in what you do want as long as you are such a witness to what you don't want. It's just that way. We know that when you were born into this wonderful body, that you never attended a class early on in your experience where they taught you about the law of gravity. No one said, oh, my child hasn't been to gravity class yet and he's just floating around everywhere. It's like he doesn't understand that he's supposed to be on the ground. Nobody was worried about that because everybody thought that it was pretty clear that if you jump off of something, you're going to go down, not up. And so we want to acknowledge that law of attraction is as easy to understand as that, especially once someone has defined it to you in the way that we have. You really don't need a class about law of attraction. You just need observation. I thought this, I felt this way, and this happened. I thought this, I felt this way, and this happened. Law of attraction is not going to be squirrely. It's not going to be partisan. Law of attraction is not going to be unobjective or partial. Law of attraction is going to respond to you the way you get what you think about, whether you want it or not. That's it. So whatever you've got, you thought about. How about that? Now sometimes you don't want to hear that because you say, wait a minute, I did not think about this thing that I got. Esther said to us in those early days, Abraham, but it's true. It's true. You want me to not think about this thing that is true? And we said, she didn't like this either. We said, what's truth got to do with it? She was shocked. Abraham, you pretend that you're non-physical goodness. What do you mean? It's irrelevant if it's true. And we said, law of attraction will make anything that you focus upon true. Law of attraction will cause anything that you focus upon to be a manifestation that you and others can see. So your criteria must not be if it's true. Your criteria must be, do I prefer it? Do I want it in my experience? Do I want to be the perpetuator of that? Do I want more of that in the world? Do I want more of that in my world? And if the answer is yes, then give it your undivided attention. But if the answer to that is no, I do not want that, then withdraw your attention from it. That's not easy, is it? Taking your attention away from something. I'm not going to think about that. I'm not going to think about that. What? That thing I'm thinking about. I'm not going to think about that. But you're thinking about that thing you're not wanting to think about while you're saying you're not going to think about that thing, aren't you? And so you can't not think about something because you're thinking about it while you're not wanting to think about it. But you could think about something else. And that really is the art of deliberate creation, is to find something that is pleasant to think about and then think about it long enough that some momentum becomes big enough that then the thought will begin to entice you and to call you, and so will the evidence. You live, we all do, in a universe of attraction, which means this is an inclusion-based universe. There's no exclusion. So when you see something that you want and you say yes to it, you are calling to you this thing that you want. But when you see something and you shout no at it, you are calling to you this thing you do not want. There's no yes or no. There's only attention to it. And attention to it causes an activation within you. And if it's there long enough, law of attraction begins to respond to your active vibration. So, you, dear hearts, are a mixed bag. You're offering vibration about lots of things. And that's all right, because after all, you came to do some step one. And you can't do some step one if there's not some contrast that causes you to choose. That's the difference between you and your inner being. You said, I'll go forth and I will explore contrast and I will come to new awarenesses about what improvements would be. And your inner being said, and we will stay here, and when you find an improvement, we will focus upon it unendingly until you and we are able to bring it about into full manifestational form. And everything you see around you has happened because there has been a vibration and then enough thought about it that a thought has turned to a thing. So, we've enjoyed this interaction immensely. It's lovely to come together with you. We like to chew with you upon the things that are important to you. You'll notice as we are playing together here today that it is our powerful intention to help you discern the perspectives that you are holding that are helpful to you and the perspectives that you are holding that aren't helpful to you. Because once you've asked and once it's been given and once you have found a way to come into steady alignment, that's what step 3 is. Once you are in the receiving mode of what you're asking for, then those thoughts begin turning to things. And oh, what a sweet spot that is. And step 4 is really when you're really good at step 3. Funny to give a whole step to just being good at the step before. But it's really worth doing because every now and again you just stumble into the receiving mode and something wonderful happens. But to do it on purpose and to be able to maintain it and to realize when you're slipping from it and then to do something about it, to deliberately focus your thoughts, to meditate when things are not going well, to get a good night's sleep, to wake up the next day, to deliberately get off on the right vibrational foot, to accomplish the mastery of being in the receiving mode. That's really what you were born knowing you can do, expecting that you would do, and it's really what we've come to remind you that you can do. Step 4 is the mastery of that alignment. And then step 5, maybe our favorite step. Step 5 is when you're back in step 1 exploring contrast, but you're not mad at yourself. You could say that your inner being dwells always in step 5 because your inner being never loses vibrational altitude by focusing on whatever you're about. Your inner being has true compassion, the ability to see you where you are without dipping in vibration, because your inner being is always solution oriented, always focused upon where you are really at this time. Empathy, you empathize with each other. You say to your friend, you need to be there for me, and I'm in a bad place, so I don't care where you are, you need to join me and complain with me about this thing that is bothering me. And usually, if you're good at influence, you will influence your friend in time to join you there. Doesn't feel good to you, doesn't feel good to your friend, but most humans, we love you so much, are fickle. But your inner being won't ever join you in that lower vibration. And that's why you always have that guiding light to feel your way into alignment with. That's why your vortex can always be felt by you unless you're too far gone in the opposite direction for now. But after a good night's sleep, you're back in the game again. So, now you know everything we know about everything that matters to anyone.